Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. I tell you, man, I'm going to vent in a minute, but I don't know what it is about this movie. It's spectacular. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Rian Johnson crafted one of the best whodunits you've ever seen and gives you everything you want, and then things you didn't even know you wanted, and just makes you go, bravo, Rian Johnson, by the end of the film. But everything else surrounding this movie has just not worked for me. What are we talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, man? Take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into Knives Out. Yeah, man, like I said, I couldn't win with this movie this weekend. I went to go see this early access screening on Friday. So excited. One, I'm a big Rian Johnson fan. Looper, Brick, absolutely brilliant. Some of the things he did in Last Jedi, absolutely brilliant. Granted, Last Jedi has issues, but we're not getting into that here because this is a Knives Out review. But I am just a fan of Rian Johnson, and this movie for me was a return to form, the things that I knew Rian Johnson was really good at. The way he's able to weave a story and take you down places that you've never thought about or seen before in a film. He delivers a lot of things that are customary to a Rian Johnson movie, and it was really, really enjoyable. But the world, man, just didn't want me to see or talk about this movie, apparently, because I get there on Friday night, and it's like 7:05. I hit traffic, all sorts of things. I was, shoot, man, I hope it doesn't start right at 7. The movie's not even on yet. Go check out the concession line. It's too long. So come back in, 15, 20 minutes go by, and no movie. Now it's 7:20. Couldn't even move to a different theater if I wanted to, because there'd be no chance I was going to be able to get to a theater or not miss anything. And then they come in, they're like, the projector won't authenticate. We're not going to be able to play the movie tonight. For those that are unfamiliar with how movies are delivered now, there are no more reels. The reels, it's not the reels broken. You have to authenticate over, digitally, and then the movie plays through the projector. Authentication wouldn't work, couldn't see the movie. I was gassed because early access screen. I didn't want to wait till Thanksgiving. I wanted to talk about this movie. I wanted to see this movie. And then they told us that there was one last night. So I was able to go last night, and like I said, absolutely brilliant. So brilliant, I sat down and talked about a movie that you can't talk about without spoiling anything for 20 minutes because the cast is huge, and everybody deserves some love because it's phenomenal. And then I go to edit, and there's no audio. Talk about being frustrated. It's one thing to lose the audio on a 5-minute video. To lose audio on a 20-minute video, which would probably be about 16 solid minutes of content, is tough. And then every other video I recorded had audio. So I don't know, man. Something about this movie just is not meshing with me, other than I absolutely loved it, man. Rian Johnson crafts a whodunit movie in an era where whodunit movies don't really exist anymore. And he crafts it in a way that's going to get audiences excited and make audiences happy. When you haven't seen a whodunit movie in the theater in a long time, and you get a whodunit movie, well, guess what, man? There are certain things about whodunit movies that you want to happen. And Rian Johnson makes sure that he does. He hits the cliche, the cliche things you might have, the paint by numbers of a whodunit, so be it. It's what I'm here for. And he does all those things. He does them wonderfully, masterfully even. But there's one thing that Rian Johnson does in this movie that just caught me so off guard, it knocked me off my game for a while. And it didn't knock me out of the movie. I was glued to the screen, tied right in, because I was even more interested. I'm like, well, where do you go now? And the thing about it is, it's just, I've never seen it done before. And it's a risky move. Because it makes you start going, well, what's really going on? Theories start running through your own head while you're watching. Then you start going, maybe I have to adjust my expectations. Maybe this is something different. Maybe Rian Johnson's crafting a movie I wasn't expecting, which isn't shocking. It's something Rian Johnson does quite well, usually. And then you get to the end of the movie and you just sit there and your jaw is on the floor and you're like, wow. Wow, Rian Johnson. You not only gave me a classic whodunit with all the cliche things, all the beats I want in a whodunit movie, but you gave me a whodunit movie like I've never seen before in my life. And that one thing that Rian Johnson does is the key to that success, because it makes it different and it allows him to play with things in a completely different way. With the second half of this movie, he's able to do things and play with over here and then over here and over here. And those three places are not places you usually play in a movie like this. And it all pays off super well to the script. The script is so airtight, man. Even the things that might bother you about it come back around, they tie them up, and it's Oh, it's so good, dude. Like, you can't see it coming, and I can't say anything else. Because if I keep motor mouthing about just random nonsense, I'm eventually going to say something, because there are so many spoilers in this movie. But from the directing standpoint, too, I think Rian Johnson did an excellent job. He gets the best out of his cast. The camera work with his DP is great. The movie does things you expect to see from Rian Johnson, and gives you some elements and some shots and things that are really nice that you're like, ooh, I like that one. So overall, you get a really, really well-crafted movie. A perfect whodunit for a world that's lacking in that department. But the thing that really, really succeeds in this movie for Rian Johnson is his cast, man. He went out and got himself a humongous cast. I mean, let's just run off some names, right? Ana de Armas, Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Christopher Plummer, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Lakeith Stanfield, Katherine Langford, Jaeden Martell, Frank Oz. Like, the list goes on and on and on. Just big name after big name after big name. And everybody shows up, and everybody has something to do. And it starts with the big three. There are three characters in this movie that really are the ones that kind of carry the majority of the weight, while the supporting cast around them just elevates everything that's happening. And those big three, shockingly, start with Miss Ana de Armas. Now, if you were unfamiliar with Ana de Armas, I first stumbled into her in a movie called Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. Not a great movie, but she has a really nice performance in it, and I immediately was like, all right, I gotta pay attention to this girl. And then she was in Stone Hands or something like that. It was a boxing movie. And then obviously the newest Blade Runner, 2049. And it was, I've seen her in a bunch of things. I always really like her. And, it was Blade Runner that probably gave her her biggest screen time. But was also a movie that kind of flew low key. I highly suggest anybody to go see it if you haven't. Find it on DVD or streaming somewhere and watch it. It's a really good movie, especially if you're a fan of the first one. But Ana de Armas' role in the movie, she's like the digital love interest that Ryan Gosling buys, and she's wonderful. But here she is front and center the entire movie, and she's fantastic, man. Her performance is so genuine, so true. Her character is a good person. It's the thing that kind of harps around the character the whole movie. And she is also the nurse to Christopher Plummer's Harlan Thrombey, who is our main character and the person who is murdered. And she just plays everything they give her so well, man. She has this like one little quirk about her. Every time that comes up, plays wonderfully. The way she handles it, she's strong and like very, very tactful and like knows what she's doing sometimes, or she can just kind of take control. But she's also, innocent and out of her element sometimes when she has to be. And she does all these things, a huge range of stuff going on with her character. And I thought she just nailed it the whole movie, man. Like, and she's the one that had to, because she's one of the main focuses of the film. And she really does a good job carrying it. And she's got two really good co-stars to help her carry this movie. And Daniel Craig is the only other one that's in this thing from start to finish, pretty much. And he plays our private eye, Benoit Blanc. Oh, man, dude, he is an interesting character at that, man. And he's got this really weird drawl accent thing going on. And you're kind of able to, like, let it slide because it's mentioned and poked fun at in the movie. And anytime you can do something like that, it's like, okay, this is all purposeful. And it really works because Craig's performance is great, man. He's a wonderful private eye. He's a great sleuth. And he does all the things you want. And he acts, there are times where he comes off like he's kind of clueless to certain things that are going on, but really, really observant to other things. And at the end of the day, my dude does a really, really good job being that sleuth in the movie. I just love his role and where it takes him, how he interacts with the different characters, and how he supports, like I said, Ana de Armas with a really, really, really strong foundational role around her. And that other pillar of the two that kind of make up this trio, with Ana de Armas on top and Craig is one pillar, Chris Evans is the other one, man. He shows up about halfway through this bad boy and just sets the screen on fire. If you forgot that this dude knows how to do things that aren't Captain America, he's going to remind you in this movie. He is absolutely brilliant, man. He's got this charm, charismatic, dickish attitude, man. Like, you love this guy sometimes, you hate this guy at sometimes, you like feel for him, then you don't, and he plays both sides so well, man. Like, you draw the line in the sand and everyone's kind of standing at certain areas, and Chris Evans is just bopping back and forth, and everything he does is wonderful. He's the grandson to Harlan Thrombey, and he's a little like, I deserve things that he hasn't really worked for type of a kid. He's a spoiled rich kid, is essentially, and he plays it wonderfully, man. He's so good in this movie, and after keeping him away from us for most of the first half of the film, like I say, he comes in hot, man. Like, he's like, I'm gonna make my footprint in this movie, man. I'm gonna mark this movie, make sure everybody knows what's up. Because for a minute I was like, oh damn, man, like Chris Evans is only gonna have like a cameo type role. Nah, man. He shows up and he's fantastic. Then of course there's the man at the center of the movie, Christopher Plummer. He doesn't get a ton of screen time, obviously, because he's the person who's killed. We find him at the beginning of the movie, like any good whodunit movie starts, and then we kind of live in flashbacks, and he gets a bunch of different scenes. There are moments. He has moments with everybody, and then he has one really big sequence that's just absolutely phenomenal, man. The way his brain works and the way he kind of breaks down things in this one scene, you're just like, oh yeah, that's really good, man. And he's a mystery writer, which is kind of interesting to watch Rian Johnson play with inside the context of a mystery movie. He's Christopher Plummer, man. He's still got it. And the other thing, too, is like last couple movies I've seen have kind of really depicted his character as very, very old. And here he is old, but he is full of life and energy. And Christopher Plummer just like, again, someone else who just kind of bursts out and you're like, I forgot Christopher Plummer could go there, man. He's still got it. He's so good. And what they ask him to do in this movie is perfect for setting up certain things that Rian wants to set up and play with as we move along. Then there's our second tier of characters. We got 4 main folks. All 4 of these characters are interviewed at the beginning of the movie, and we get to watch their interviews kind of break down. And the ones that we kind of spend the second most time with after our main group of 3. And that's Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays Harlan's eldest daughter, Linda. Her husband, Richard, played by Don Johnson. Michael Shannon plays Walt, his eldest son. And Toni Collette plays his daughter-in-law. Her husband was his son, but passed away like 15 years ago. And each one of them has like a very interesting, unique thing with Harlan. They all have the different moments and they all bring different things. And they're all wonderful, man. Jamie Lee Curtis really does a good job of playing the theoretical matriarch of the family. She's not even the matriarch of the family, as we'll get to Kay Callahan's character later, who is Christopher Plummer's mother. You do the math on your own. And I'm not saying that Kay Callahan is that, but Jamie Lee Curtis does a really good job of being that strong foundational person who swings real quick, man. Like she gives you one thing, and then when she's backed into a corner or put into a position, swings it around. But I love her command and her control of the screen and of scenes that she's in during the movie. Then Don Johnson, who plays her husband in the movie, he's just great. I love that Don Johnson is getting like this resurgence in his career all of a sudden. He's in The Watchmen show. He's popped up in a bunch of things I've watched recently, and he's on fire here as well. Anytime he's on screen, he's either being kind of and that's the other thing. All 4 of these people are very good at being shifty, right? We have to make sure that we're questioning everybody. Everybody's got to have a motive in a movie like this, and all of them play to that quite well. Don Johnson, man, like he can be real shifty, and then he can be loud and boisterous and really, really funny. He has some wonderfully entertaining moments during the flashbacks to the birthday party, and he has a couple real nice moments in the movie. And then you have Michael Shannon, who I adore. He's always a fantastic character actor, and here really plays, you almost want to say sniveling, but not quite. He's a little bit more controlled, but he's clearly the one of the bunch who kind of just inherited everything Dad's done, and then like just keeps wanting to push things with places with the business and things of that nature. And he plays that like son who could never quite live up to his dad quite well enough, so well. And again, the way he kind of interacts specifically with Marta Marta in the movie, very differently than Don Johnson or Jamie Lee Curtis acts with Marta. And when he has interactions with her, those scenes are really, really solid. He delivers really, really top-notch stuff. And then Toni Collette, man, I'd say I love her because she's just a firecracker, and she can do so many off-the-wall kind of characters. And here is the same thing, man. Like, her husband was the family member who passed away, and she's essentially living off of, the help that Christopher Plummer is supplying her daughter, Meg. He paying for her school, and Toni is kind of like a social media person. So her character, Joni, she's like just a little off, and same thing, kind of makes you laugh a lot, and her quirkiness is just so good in the movie. Then there's still more, man. I'm telling you, there's a third tier of actors here, and this third tier that supports the supporting pillars of this movie. The way it's structured and built, man, it's just everybody is adding to the movie and propelling it forward. And Lakeith Stanfield, someone I also am a huge fan of, plays Lieutenant Elliot. He's kind of our point person for the first half of this movie, while Benoit Blanc is kind of chilling in the background. And, he's hired separately. He's not part of the investigation, but Lieutenant Elliot is aware of who he is, and when he shows up, he's like, obviously, you can come along. Like, I don't know why you want to, but, because it seems like it's a pretty open and shut case. For Elliot, it is very open and shut. He's somebody who follows the facts and doesn't really conjecture too much. Doesn't try to figure anything out bigger than, like, the facts tell the story, and this is what the story is. And it's a nice counter to Daniel Craig's Blanc, because they have some fun interactions. Then you have Katherine Langford, who I mentioned plays Toni Collette's Joni's daughter, Meg. And like I said, she's kind of like the kid who, the grandpa's paying for her school, but she doesn't have a real major. It's like one of these kind of made up sounding majors. And everybody kind of pokes fun at her for that, but she has a really, really strong connection with Marta. And considering that Ana de Armas is the person who is like the focal point of a lot of the film, her relationship and interactions with her are very important when they happen. And again, something that feels very genuine. Anytime Ana de Armas is on screen, whoever she's interacting with, those interactions just feel genuine and true to who the characters are based on what we know about them. And for the most part, the family loves Marta. They've kind of adopted her. She was brought in to be like a nurse to Harlan, but has really become like his best friend, something that he needs, a companion. And I know I said no spoilers, but just so that you're not thinking about it, there's no hanky-panky stuff going on with her and Chris Plummer. It is a legitimate friendship between the two of them, and it's very, very important, a point of the movie, because obviously you're going to go there and wonder about that, but it's not. And even though I say that, it's not going to ruin anything for the movie. I think it'd be even easier to watch the movie if it's not in the back of your mind, because it was something that just kept coming up. I'm like, I know this isn't it, but you can't help yourself. Well, I'll help you. Meg's relationship with Marta and the way the family kind of loves Marta, most of that is really shown through their relationship with Meg. And I think Katherine Langford does a wonderful job. And you have Jaeden Martell, who we should all remember as Billy from It in the kid version. And he does a nice job. They don't ask him to do too much, but he plays his role well. He is the son of Michael Shannon and his wife, who literally is just there physically. She doesn't really bring anything to the movie. A legit background character. But Jacob has a couple moments that are important to the movie, and Jaeden Martell does, I think, a nice job with what they give him, albeit very little. And then finally, man, the last person in this third tier, and then we got the supporters of the support. Man, I broke this thing down into so many different tiers. But Noah Segan, who plays Trooper Wagner, is one of my favorite characters in this movie. Every time he's on screen, he puts a smile on your face or he makes you laugh. He's a state trooper that's been brought in, and he's a diehard fan of Harlan's work. So he's a fanboy, and he fanboys a couple times in the movie, and every time it happens, it's wonderful. And every time he speaks or does anything, I'm telling you, the smile just comes across your face. And I thought Noah Segan did a phenomenal job with a very, very little bit role, and it worked so well in meshing into spots that you needed to fill things, and he fills those spots quite nicely. Now, finally, we have the supporters of the support, as I label them. Three more folks who have very, very minimal roles, and that's not even counting Michael Shannon's wife, who I can't really talk about, even though I've mentioned her a few times. But Edi Patterson plays Fran. Fran is one of the workers in the house. I think I don't know if she's like more of like a maid, I guess, and like house caretaker. She brings Harlan his food, does all that type of stuff. And she has two important scenes, and they both play very, very differently, man. Like, one scene is fairly enjoyable and you're like, ah, man, Fran, and then there's another scene that's a lot more intense, and she plays both versions of herself in those scenes quite well. Then Mr. Frank Oz. Oh, dude, the voice of my childhood, man. This guy, he was Yoda, he's Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Animal, Grover, Bert, Cookie Monster. Most of my childhood puppets were voiced by the phenomenal Frank Oz, and he gets to have a cameo moment in the movie where he plays the lawyer who's reading the will at the will reading, and he brings some comedy and brings some really nice stuff where you're just like, oh man, it's nice to see you on screen, Frank Oz. And then finally we have Kay Callahan, who I mentioned before. She plays great Nana Winetta, who is Harlan's mother, which means she is somewhere in the 110 pluses, most likely. I don't know, figure out the math yourself if ever you'd like to. But because of that, she's kind of incapacitated to a degree. She kind of always just is sitting, doesn't really do very much, has the most ridiculous outfit on. But when she does speak or notice things, it's making you laugh. And just she delivers any line that they ask her. She delivers it so well that every time she pops up on screen, you're just like, aw, great Nana Winetta, we love you. And she's wonderful. And like all of these characters, is important to the movie and pushing the story forward. And when you take really, really great performances from the people who are up front and center to your main supporting cast to the people who are supporting all of those people, you end up with such a rock solid foundation around just the actors in and of themselves that when you give them great scenery to chew on, when you give them a really, really good script, and the house is a character in and of itself. I'd be fascinated to find out if they actually filmed inside this house, because it felt like they filmed inside. The exterior is wonderful, lots of things to play with there, but then the interior of the house, when they're going to these different rooms, they're all super different and very eclectic, and there's very, very interesting things that make the house a character in and of itself. And the way they utilize the different rooms and just the things that are in the house everywhere, man. I mean, there's a suit of armor, there's this, we've seen it in the trailers, this like circle of knives, and it's clearly some sort of a prop or gift that was probably given to Harlan for one of his books, multiple of which have the term knives in them. So the house is a wonderful character in and of itself, and when you have a great setting, and you have a great cast, and you have a great script, and you have just wonderful direction, Rian Johnson really gets the best out of everybody, and knows what he's doing start to finish with this thing, man. He works this whodunit masterfully, man. Like, if you want to make a whodunit movie and you really want to get people in a way that makes them go, bravo, sir, this is the movie to watch, man. This might be one of the best whodunits I've ever seen. I'm so happy for Rian Johnson, because I really didn't like that people were kind of crapping on him because of the Last Jedi stuff, because I think he's a really, really wonderful filmmaker, and he's going to remind the world that he is here. And the cast, I mean, if you don't like Rian Johnson, you just go for the cast and treat yourself to just wonderful character acting performances from a whole slew of people. So, as you can tell, man, second time through, the C-Man got back to 20 minutes again, talking about all these people, but they all deserve love, man, because everybody in this film does a really, really good job, and it's just a really, really solid film. I'm telling you, go see Knives Out, man. Treat yourself on Thanksgiving. Take the family out. Eat some turkey, watch some football, maybe, watch your parade. Fit Knives Out in there somewhere. Do it for yourself, man. Avoid the commotion and the crowded theaters at Frozen 2, which is just dominating the box office right now, doing bigger things than the first one did. If you want to avoid the super crowded theaters, the theater itself might be crowded with people. Go into an individual theater and watch Knives Out, man. You will be so happy. I promise you, man. Like, this is just a slam dunk whodunit movie that like I said, the key to this movie is its cast is phenomenal. It does all the things you want in a whodunit movie, and it still finds a way to do stuff that you've never seen in a whodunit that just works wonderfully. So those are all the Seaman's non-spoiler thoughts. Lots of them, man, because there's a lot of people to talk about, a lot of things to talk about without really talking about anything. It's crazy how I'm able to do that sometimes. But now that I've blabbed for a while, I want to know what you're thinking, man. This was a fairly popular fan screening event. Every theater I looked at was almost sold out. If it wasn't sold out, a lot of people, I think, saw this movie this weekend, probably because they might be planning to go see Frozen 2 or one of those family kind of holiday movies with their family on Thanksgiving in and of itself. A lot of people saw it. So if you saw it, keep the spoilers out of this one. I will do a spoiler review. I promise. I know I say that sometimes and I don't do it. This one I definitely want to because I want to talk about this thing because it's so good. So don't do any spoilers, but let me know, man. Did this movie work for you? What did you like or dislike that Rian Johnson was in the movie? What did you think about the cast? What did you think about the story? Were you caught off guard? Did it keep you guessing? Did you figure it out? There were points where I thought I might have figured it out, and then the movie keeps going, and I forget things, and it's just there's so much going on, and it's all done really, really well. It's not chaotic whatsoever. So let me know what you're thinking, good or bad, about the movie. If you saw it, if you have not seen the movie, are you going to see it for Thanksgiving? Has the Seaman enticed you to want to go see Knives Out? I'm telling you, if you're a fan of Whodunit movies, you will thank me for recommending this one to you because it's quite good. And like I said, it's one of these situations where a movie like this could have been a bunch of actors you don't know, but instead it's nothing but like actors you do know, and all big actors, and they all bring something special to it, man. So hopefully I enticed you, but if you haven't seen it, let me know if you're gonna see it, what you're thinking about it, if you're gonna go see it, what are you excited about, what things would we talk about here that you're like, oh man, I can't wait to find this or see this. Let me know everything you were thinking about Knives Out down below in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're new, you want to be here, hang out with the Seaman and his buddies in the Seaman squad, if you will. Anytime we're talking movies, specifically if you want to hear me talk more Knives Out, go over there, man. Hit that subscribe button. It'll help yourself out. You'll be more in touch. You'll see these videos pop up. And if you hit that little bell that follows it, you'll get an actual physical alert anytime I drop a video. So when I drop my Knives Out spoiler review, you'll be able to be like, yes, let's go. I want to see what the Seaman thought about these things. Break it on down, Seaman. You want all that? Subscribe. Hit the alert. I'll keep cranking on some content here for you guys. And until next time, for the Seaman Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman. I'm signing off. Peace. Too much? Maybe? Well, I'll be. You guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. Seaman's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the Seaman goodies, join the Cinema Sit Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.